Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Now, before we get underway, I do have to apologize if you do hear any sort of blowing in the background. I'm currently in my car, as I always do. I am using my microphone, so it should cut out most of it. But yeah, it's like the hottest day so far. It's the hottest day that the UK have ever had. So it's pretty hot in the car. It's what, 38 degrees in the car, so it's very hot. So I do have the aircon on, which you may hear, but you hopefully you don't. So today's video, now this is a topic that we've discussed a while ago, and we haven't discussed it for a very long time, and that is bots in Blitz. I think I like the concept of what Wargaming did, especially with this newbie matchmaking. So basically, when you are new, when you're a new player, you will come up against bots in this game. Now, also, if you're an extremely bad player, you will be put into the newbie matchmaking. But you don't really hear about that too much. Usually you see this kind of matchmaking when you have done a reroll and you're grinding sort of a couple of hundred battles. I think it's stupid because I mean, a lot of the high damage games that you see, especially when it's lower tiers, you will see mega high damage games, and that is because you coming up against, or these guys are coming up against bots. Now, I've got my good friend Zach here that is demonstrating this for me. So he's now in a game. He's in the AT-15A. Now, when you are grinding either a reroll account, or if you're even a new player, there are certain tanks that are extremely strong against these bots because they just can't really penetrate you. They just can't penetrate you. They make it easy for you, just like that T-34 there, and it's almost a guaranteed win. Should this happen? I mean, I don't understand why. I do understand that the need for bots early in the player's career, and when I mean early, I mean a few battles. I literally mean a few battles coming up into these guys, and you're coming up against bots. Now, when you've got 200 to 300 plus battles, you shouldn't be needing to come up against bots. Now, Zach here, yes, he's in a reroll account and he's bought the AT-15A. I don't think you should need bots when you're up in tier 7 and tier 8. These should be removed. I get the lower tier. I get the lower tier games, like the tier 3s, tier 4s early on, but you should not need bots in tier 8 games. Especially, I mean, look at this lurver, and you can clearly see that these are bots. You can clearly see. So Zach, this game, has managed to block 2,400 damage, and he's got over 5k damage. Very, very easy, and for a new account, a new reroll, that is just an easy ace for him, and that is an ace. It goes onto his account. I do believe if they're going to keep these bots, they should maybe not add the stats. I don't think if there's a bot in your game, even if it's one bot, like an actual bot, which you can see here, Liquid Tanker 000, Legion 0000, Skullboy 0000, there is literally 5 bots in this game. Out of 7 tanks, there is 5 bots, and only 1 player there. 2 players, 57%. So out of 7 players, there's like 5 bots. So I do honestly think that if you're coming up against bots, one, I don't think you should be able to master a tank. I don't think you should be able to get an ace tanker, because it's just an easy way to get ace tankers. It's an easy way to farm damage. It's an easy way to farm win rate, and it is an easy way to farm aces. So I do honestly think now's the time. Excuse me. I do honestly think now's the time that Wargaming should review these bot situation, and I don't think they should be at higher tiers. I think that once you pass a certain tier, whether or not you've got 0 games or 500 games or 1,000 games, if you want to buy a premium tank for tier 7, then you should be in a a normal match with no bots. And this is where a lot of people get away with it, because they do a reroll, they buy a tier 8 premium or whatever straight away, and they're going to come up against bots. So it's easy damage, they can farm damage, and that is what people have been doing ever since this has been introduced to the game. That this is what people have been doing. This newbie matchmaking has been exploited by more players re-rolling because they can exploit the system than actually new players benefiting from it. And I think that's the truth. Like, new players don't benefit from this, because if they are new, by the time they get to this tier 7, they should really have enough battles on their account to be not coming up against these bots, because you don't need to come up against bots when you are in a tier 7 or tier 8 tank. So let me know would you like this whole newbie matchmaking to be removed? Because I think it's done. I like the idea of it. Put all the bad players together, put all the people that are just YOLOing, that don't want to play, put them together with these bots. Or should they just remove it completely? Because that is what I think. I honestly think if you are new in the game, and I know they want to keep these new players, which is fine, the new players into the game, they do want to keep, because this is where they are having issues, or big issues, and that is with newer players not sticking to the game. They start playing the game, they get bored, and then they leave and they don't come back. So they want to keep these new players playing the game, and that's where they add bots, which means they can win more games. But I just think there should definitely be a cut-off point, because currently I think the cut-off point is too high. Way too high. You need like 5.5k damage, 5.5k battles or 5k battles to actually be possibly taken out of this newbie matchmaking. I think that's way too much. Absolutely way too much. I definitely think they should cut it off. I would say around 100 battles. 100 battles might even be too much. If you don't know how to play a game, if you don't know how to shoot your gun, or even try block shots after 100 games, I honestly think 100 games is more than enough, because that 100 games you'll be playing tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and you shouldn't need to come up against bots when you get to the tier 7. When you get to tier 7, you should definitely not be playing against bots. Maybe for their first game or first 2 games, yeah, maybe, but then they're just going to get used to it. And this is the biggest problem. Like, new players who are coming up against these 5 bots, they're going to get used to this, and then before you know it, they're going to be taken out of this matchmaking. Sorry, excuse me. They're going to be taken out of this matchmaking. They're going to then start coming up against good players, and they're not going to understand why, because these new players don't know that they are coming up against bots. They don't understand to check the player's stats, and if it's got 0, it's a bot. They don't know this kind of thing, so they're not going to be aware that they are actually coming up against bots. The only people that are going to be aware that they're coming up against bots is people re-rolling to come up against bots. That's the only thing that this benefits. It only benefits new players. Now, you can see Zach here. I mean, 1 against all. This other guy is pretty much AFK. So it was basically a 1 versus 4. He's a one-shot. And already with the positioning of this Tiger P, we already know he's a bot. Now, the only thing that you don't want to happen is you don't want to lose against a bot, because that's embarrassing. Losing against a bot is embarrassing, because you do have to remember, even though these bots are really, really bad, they can still penetrate you and they can still kill you. So you do have to bear that in mind. So Zach is not taking any chances. However, he's getting the bounces. I mean, 3.5k blocked damage at the minute. Now, he knows what to do. If this was a real player, he wouldn't have won this game, regardless. And he ends on 6,400 damage. 3.5k block damage. You would never get this in a real game. In the real matchmaking, you would never get this. So I think the only people that are benefiting from this newbie bot matchmaking is the players that are re-rolling because they want to get into this matchmaking. I don't think this benefits the newer player at all. If anything, I do think it makes it worse. So let me know your thoughts on the bot matchmaking. It's been around for a while now. Do you think it's time that Wargaming just removed it completely? In my opinion, yes, they should remove it. Not completely, but they should only have it for tier 2, tier 3, maybe tier 4. Because if they got bots in tier 4, these players that just want to farm win rate and farm damage on a new account, they're not going to come up against these bots. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Yeah, let's just ditch the bots. Let's ditch the bots. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm Meadsy, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye.